What's going on, guys? Matt Everett here with ZL1 Addons, and today we are installing the front splitter on a beautiful Charger. Let's jump right on into the guide and show you exactly how this install is going to go. So step one on this install, we do have to remove the belly pan on the vehicle, so that way we can install some metal fasteners to be able to bolt in the actual splitter. So we're going to go ahead and remove that now. You're gonna have multiple plastic clips. If you guys don't have a finishing tool, you can use a flathead screwdriver. There's lots of them. You'll see a bunch on the inside fender. Got Mikey here taking care of those. So now that we got the plastic parts pulled out, there's two sets of 10mm bolts here, and there's one over here, and they actually number them for you. Look, one. You can actually kind of tell how many different bolts there are, but they're numbered. Either way, got to remove those 4 bolts. Now that we remove those bolts, there are going to be more rubber fasteners. There's 3 here in the front edge for this piece of fascia, and then you're actually going to have a couple more fasteners underneath the main lip of the car on both sides. And then I believe these are what, 6mm? These are a little tiny 7mm bolts. We're going to pull all those out. So let's get to it. Now that we have the belly pan off the vehicle, this exposes the radiator. Now, the radiator bracket along here is the primary method of mounting our hardware that's in your box. Now, you may see this, and I have it upside down here. You'll see this, and there's a couple bolts and screws already assembled, so that way you can see exactly how it's gonna be when you install it on the car, so there's no confusion. Don't you guys hate it when people send you parts and they're already loose? Yeah, we don't do that. But with that, this is gonna mount into these holes. Now, I wanna highlight one thing. Depending what car you have, whether you have an RT, an SRT, a Hellcat, etc., you may see a different setup here. Now, the Hellcats, they have a different intercooler. Some of them have a cooling pipe that's running along here, and they're using some of these holes to mount a clip to mount it to. In that instance, you're gonna be using the outer holes. But in this instance, on this car, we're gonna be mounting it to these holes here, and we use our riv nut. Our riv nut is what's going to allow you to mount the bolt, and it's going to hold it nice and tight. Now, there is a rubber gasket here. This pulls right off. In our install, you can pull it off. If you want to get crafty, you can cut it and keep it there, but just pull that off, you'll be good. And the other thing is I want to talk about how it mounts. So some of you may ask, how come you just don't mount it at this point here? Well, the reason we do that is to keep a flat angle on the splitter so it's not hanging down in the back, defeating the purpose of a splitter in the first place. So that is why we've custom designed this, to keep the angle and keep it running right so you actually have a functional splitter. Yeah, it's really important. So we do have to drill this out a little bit. Keep in mind you do have a radiator sitting above this bracket, so when you're drilling this hole out, you just have to drill it out just a little bit. You don't want the bit to go too far in or you will puncture your radiator. So be very careful when doing that. You can see about how deep you need to go with the riv nut. Don't go any deeper than that. So let's go ahead and do the drill process and get this mounted up. Mikey here, what size is that bit?
It's a 3/8 bit.
It's a 3/8 bit. We're drilling in. You can see he's going really slow. Bam, easy enough. You'll see the riv nut. Well, he's gonna have to wiggle that out a little bit. No,
have to go bigger on
it, just a little bit. You're killing me. That will probably do it. Nope. Nope. It wants to, but it doesn't. Ah, there it is. You're right. So there you go. Drill that out. You can see it can be a little pesky, a little bit tight, but you want it tight in there. But again, we're gonna pull this off the thing, we're gonna put it on our riv nut tool, and we're gonna show you how to mount that. This is our riv nut tool. This item you'll get with your order. If you add it to your order, you get the tool and the proper bit for the riv nut that's in this package. Now, we do offer the full kit that has multiple different size bits, so if you're interested in getting the full kit, that's available, but the one that you order in line when you select the splitter will be this tool exactly. So at this point, Mikey already has the riv nut on the bolt that sticks out, and now he's gonna slide it up into the hole, and it's a real simple process. You slide it in and you literally just squeeze the handle, and what that does is it causes this part of the rivet to crimp just like a normal rivet. So, and it creates a nice solid mounting point to mount in. And you'll see he squeezed it, he tightened it up a little bit, squeezed it again, and now he's pulling it out. That riv nut is installed. Bam. perfect. So at this point, we are gonna put the hardware bracket in place. It's a 7/16 socket. So in this part, you will see there's a spacer. That spacer is there for a reason, to line this bracket up with this metal lip. And again, once we get both of these brackets in place, we are gonna cut the rubber dust diffuser that was there. I don't even know what they call this thing right there. We'll cut it to match up perfectly so it goes back in place, but there'll just be a gap where our metal bracket is.
You're gonna want to keep them straight facing the front of the car. We'll be able to move them later to match up the splitter holes. And yeah, they'll still remain tight.
So again, the rubber gasket, we're just gonna measure it. I'm gonna hold it up. I'm gonna look at the points where we need a cut. That piece. And then we have the two end pieces. Now, no, these will be a little bit longer than they should be now, but they should still be We have the brackets in place. We're gonna put the front belly pan back in place and get it up in there. Just go ahead and do that. And if you're wondering why we're doing this, we do have to match drill, and my gimbal's facing the wrong way. We do have to match drill the holes for those brackets we just installed. So what we're doing is we're lining this up. Here, go back. What is this? So don't forget these slide in the little pockets, and Dodge does a pretty good job with all their stuff. They make it so it's almost impossible to put things out of place. So we'll grab a couple of these push pins here. So you'll notice we're only gonna put 2 push pins in just to hold the back side in place. So that one's there. We'll get that one in the back corner. So that's gonna hold the belly pan in. This is all now in place. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get the brand new splitter, we're gonna put it up in place, and we're gonna put a couple of the screws in the front just to hold it in place so we can match drill into where our brackets are. So let's go ahead and do that. So in the kit, we are gonna provide you washers and new screws that are gonna replace the black ones you took off. So you're not gonna be reusing these across the front of the car. You're gonna be reusing our new screws with the new washers. So this process works really well when you have 2 people. Let's get it lined up. Oh, 3 people, even better. I think it's threading. Maybe. Nope. Yep. Oh, it did.
Maybe. It's bare.
That's good.
Not gonna want to tighten it too much because we're gonna have to make some adjustments to it to finally line up the rest of the holes.
In this instance, as you guys recall, we used the outer holes for this car. Now remember, if it was a Hellcat or SRT or an RT, you have to verify which one. So we know we use the 2 outer holes. So if we match drill line this up, it should line up right where our brackets are.
And then you see it's off a little bit, so you just take and hug it out like that.
And again, you'll see that's the reason why our holes aren't perfectly circle. They're actually a nice oval shape. So that way you have a little bit more room so you can aim that bolt in there and get it to hook.
And then you can line it up with a screwdriver so it's even right in the middle to put your screw. Like that. So that's in the middle like that. And then
Perfect.
put the screw in.
So you'll see you'll have a 1-inch spacer. We do this so it's a nice tight fit, and again it holds it at the perfect angle. You'll have to hold that above and then thread your bolt through. When you're doing this, make sure you don't use a deep well socket. We like to hand thread them in first so that way it catches, and then that way you can get whatever size socket you want to get it the rest of the way in. And it's always good to hand thread bolts so you don't strip things. Again, if you don't have a lift like we have, that's fine. You can do this with your car on jack stands. I wouldn't recommend trying to do this with your car on the ground. That would be a little difficult. But a normal jack stands will be really easy to get to all this stuff laying on your back.
You're not gonna want to over tighten because it's gonna push the spacer through both sides of the plastic, and then you definitely don't want that to happen.
Yeah, you just want a nice snug. So now we're just threading the rest of the screws.
Might have to loosen the other one to get it.
Yeah, to get it lined up. Yeah, as you remember, we tightened the center ones a little bit. Just loosen those up so you get some wiggle room. Because sometimes this can be 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch off, and you just have to be able to slide it side to side so it lines up perfect. See, look at Mikey tightened all those. He was getting over ahead of himself, an overachiever here. Now we're tightening up all the bolts, or screws. So we have the whole bottom side buttoned up. We do need a match drill, one additional hole. And what I mean by that is we're gonna drill through the bottom of the belly pan once again, and we're gonna put a nut and washer. The way we're gonna get to that is through this side panel here. There's 2 push mounts that will pull those out. We'll reach in, put the nut and washer, and this will tighten right up with 2 additional bolts. So let's go ahead and do that.
You're gonna want to drill through both layers, and this is not a 3/8 bit, it's a 1/4 inch bit. That does change. We use a 3/8 bit right here, but you are gonna make sure you want to use a 1/4 inch bit on the sides.
Okay, so for those edge pieces, you're gonna have a black bolt, a nut, and a washer. Again, we're gonna pre-thread the bolt from the bottom up. You're gonna drop the washer on and then bolt it in place. So we're gonna do that now. So at this point, we do have the bolt threaded in that we just did. So we're gonna go ahead and pop these out and get the washer and nut on.
That allows access into putting your screw.
Yep.
And then the washer on top.
So at this point, we're putting the washer on and the nut on and just tightening it up. We're cheating, we have a lift, so I can hold one side while he threads it in. There's got a socket laying on top of it so the bolt's not twisting.
Nice and tight.
So you can see the final bolt and the washer sitting right there, good to go. So now we have the front fender extension that will attach to the splitter. Again, we've already removed the 2 push supports off of it. And now we're just gonna line it up, get this product in place. And then you'll see there's 3 screw holes, and we'll be drilling in the holes into the splitter so it lines up perfect. So let's go ahead and do that. These do mount with the push pins. It's a nice tight fit. You do want to get those lined up just perfectly. Now we're going to match drill and get this flush and perfect. You are going to want to use a power drill for this. And we're going to drill their self-tapping screws. So we're going to line it up. So basically you'll see me holding the splitter down and over, pushing it in. And Mikey's going to get those in there. If you can reach around my fat hands.
Just like that. I'm not gonna go on too tight because they're just gonna spin inside the plastic.
So we have a nice tight fit along the front edge where the push pins are and down below where the splitter connects. But there is some tape in the kit that you're gonna have to cut to size. And what it's gonna do is we're gonna put that tape edge from basically the light on up to the top edge. And what that's gonna do is just gonna make this so it's not flappy. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, cut this down to size, and then get it stuck. Now, the way I like doing it is actually putting it on the car first. Now, before you stick anything to your car, get alcohol wipes. You need to clean this off nice and clean so you have a perfect surface to stick this to. If it is not clean, this is not gonna stick, and this will fall off over time. Please clean your fender well side pieces. Nice and clean with alcohol. Take off any wax or polishes or anything like that that may have gotten underneath that edge. So at this point, we'll get our tape roll, get it right on this inside edge. And you'll want to push it down so we get a nice tight seal. And then I got my cutting tool. In the package, we're gonna give you more tape than you actually need, but pull this back. And what I like to do is I like to bend in the inside edge and just push it on there. You get a nice tight fit, and it's on there. So there you have it, front fender extension with the splitter on the car. Now we are doing the final steps. We got to button up the bottom side plastic pieces, and she's done.